Suck it.
This is the BAM Podcast with Malcolm Springer.
I'm doing great.
Scott Marceron. Let everybody know this man is an old friend of mine. Has the... tell us about yourself so that way everybody knows.
Well, my name's Scott Marceron. I'm 47. I love long walks on the beach. I love blonde, green-eyed Italian women. And I have 5 awesome children.
In the music business, buddy.
Well, been playing music, a musician since I was 12, and, did the whole thing. Signed a record deal at 19, and toured, and the band didn't make it, the old story. And then my manager at the time, a mutual friend of ours, Paul Conroy, said, hey, you do all the stuff for the band, and that's how we met each other. You should come in the office. You'd be great, doing the business side of things. And I just partnered with a gentleman, Steve Hutton, in Uppercut Management, and we got an office in Chicago, and we're going to open one up in Philly, and I want you to be a part of it. So that's how I got into that side of things. So Paul Conroy and I opened up a East Coast office of Uppercut Management, which was in I guess it was in 2000. And that's when I met you.
That's right.
It's like 99, 2000.
Yeah, I told the wife last night, I said, I think I've known him for 25 years, but it's been 23 years.
23 years. Yep.
Yeah, because I met you. Yeah, that's wow.
Wow.
It makes us feel kind of old, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
It does a little bit, man.
And we did a couple cool records together.
Yeah, so we knew each other before Jackson was born.
Yes. Well, yeah, definitely, because Jackson just turned 13, so. Yeah. He's doing a hell of a job, though, in the studio.
He is.
He's a fast learner.
He's one of my proudest accomplishments. He really is. He walked in the door. He didn't even know what a 57 was, and I went,
that's awesome.
We got a long ways to go, but this is better than some dude that's come out of school thinking they know everything.
You better believe it.
You're from Maryland.
Maryland, yeah. Little town called Frederick, Maryland, which is kind of like a triangle. We're like 40 minutes from Baltimore, 40 minutes from D.C. So, and then we're on the border of super close to West Virginia and Virginia. So, little town I grew up in was called Brunswick, right across the Potomac River from Virginia and West Virginia. And they called Brunswick people West Virginians that could swim.
Jeez.
So yeah,
I think I've told you this before a long time ago. I have a great story about Maryland. I was driving back from New York from a meeting because I had a meeting at Universal, and me, I would just drive up there, and Junior wasn't with me because Junior would drive me up there and make sure I wouldn't fall asleep on the way back and up there. Well, this time I went by myself, and on the way back, it was pouring down rain.
Yep.
I could barely stay awake, and I saw this freaking sign that said lodging. This is an interesting story, and I drive down this road for 2 or 3 miles. Finally, I get to this, what I thought was a hotel. And I pull in there. I get out. This place looks freaking awesome, So I go in, and it's like 3 a.m. I go to the desk, and I ask the lady, hey, I need a room. I'm super tired. I really got to get some rest. And the lady goes, well, sir, this is a resort, not a hotel. And she was so nice. She's like, but I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you the keys. Go up there and get some rest. And I went there. It was a log cabin type of place.
Huh.
And I went up there. I said, are you sure? Well, how much do I owe you? And she said, nothing. Just get some rest, sir. Because I guess I looked really tired because I was worn out. And I went up there, hit the sack. I don't even think I took my clothes off. I just laid in bed and fell asleep. Yeah. Woke up in this freaking, I'm talking like when I opened the window up to the hotel room, it was the most beautiful freaking place I've ever seen in my life. It was this lake, these mountains. It was fall. It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Is that how most of Maryland is?
It's beautiful, yeah, man. You got
It
mountains
is
and
freaking awesome.
rivers, and
You would never guess it, though, being someone from the South. But this place is freaking immaculate, you know. And I wish I would have gotten the name of the place because I wanted to write them a thank you. You know, but I just remember telling them thank you so much, man.
That's cool.
They were really nice. But anyway, that's my Maryland story. That's my Maryland story. Listen, I want to get down. You have, you know, I know you manage Kyle. You manage. Do you manage any other artists?
I'm working with a new band called Above Snakes.
Oh wow!
So I haven't managed an artist in a while.
Well, I would say Kyle Odell is a pretty big artist.
He's a pretty big artist.
Because he is the artist in most cases.
he is.
In almost every case.
Yeah.
I'll say I brag on him way too much. I know people get tired of me on here talking about Kyle. You know, he has a thing he does that's really special. And I know I love what he does. But, you know, a lot of people, it's not what I do. But I mean, I do a little bit of that. But I would rather hand it off to him and mix it because he's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
I mean, he just is. He's a great.
It's funny because when I met him, he worked with a guy named Drew Falk, who's a producer, writer too. He's out in L.A. now, but they had a studio together in Greensboro, North Carolina, and Drew was producing my son's band. They were called Bad Sea Rising. They were signed to Roadrunner, young kids, 11 to 14 years old. And we were staying at the studio. They had lodging there, so we were staying there. And then I would hear this fucking guy shuffle in every night at like midnight.
Right.
And he's like, got this fucking metal music cranking. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on in that room? This goes on for 3 days. So I finally said, fuck it. And the door would always be like, I would always go, you know, get up middle of the night and go to the bathroom or check the doors. And then I said, fuck it. One night I just knocked on the door. He opens up and goes, hey, man. I'm like, what's up, dude? Introduced myself. And I hung out with him till like 7 a.m. And I said, what are you doing? He goes, man, I come in and I mix records after Drew's out of here. And we alternate days. And, you know, I do a lot of nights. He does a lot of mornings. He's an early guy like you, Drew. Right. So we got to talking and and I just watched him work for like a week. And I was just blown away. Number one, how fast he works, the way he engineers. And then I got into like, hey, what do you do? Like, he goes, well, I'm a guitar player, and you know, I've been in these bands and toured and all this. And I said, well, what have you been working on? Because I was managing bands at the time. And he goes, well, I just finished a record of a thing I'm doing, and it's called Failure Anthem. And he played me like 15 songs. And I was like, holy shit. Like, my mind exploded. And I told him at the time, I was pretty hot, man. I had like 4 bands. I just got deals with major labels. This was 7 years ago. And
is that when I met Kyle? When you came by here and introduced me to him?
It was a little bit after that.
Okay,
so
okay.
The first time you met him, he was still in the band. So
I went to see him.
You went to see him in Nashville.
That's right.
And anyway, I said, hey, man, I'm going to have a fucking record deal for this band in a month. Right. He goes, okay, laughs, and we go off to bed. Before I went to bed, I emailed it to Mike Gitter. I emailed it to like 4 people, and I woke up at like noon, so we didn't go to bed till like 7. And my phone was just dinging off the hook. And Gitter was like, what the fuck is this? Who is this? What's going on? I had Mike flying to Greensboro, North Carolina. The next week, the band rehearsed in a storage unit.
Right.
In North Carolina, so there's no basements. There's no nothing.
Right.
So you go in a storage unit, and it's all bands rehearsing in them. It's crazy. So he came in, saw the band in a fucking storage unit, and had a record deal a week later. Razor and Tie signed him, Concord.
Wow, that's awesome.
Crazy. It was fucking awesome. So anyway, and then, you know, Kyle and I just hit it off, and you know, we really focused on getting him, you know, records in between tours, and that was a whole thing, and but that's how our relationship started, and he just blew me away. His work ethic, he wrote all those songs on that record, that Failing Anthem record, and you know what he does. He writes songs on all the records he does. So it's pretty amazing songwriter.
Well, I know it wasn't long after that I heard the band on Spotify. Well, no. Yeah, it was on a Spotify playlist of some kind that I always, used to listen to Rock This. And,
the big ones.
I mean, I don't listen to as much anymore to that because I'm not looking for that many bands like that anymore. But I loved what they did, and when I heard it, it's like, God dang it, shit sounds badass, and
just great songs.
Yeah, really great songs.
Like back to when we were coming up, like great songs like that.
You don't find that much anymore. No, it's tough. The band I'm working with now, though, I mean,
those dudes are badass. I got the tinglies yesterday. It takes a lot.
I freaking fought for that record pretty tough, man. I bet.
Yeah.
I called Jeff Hansen and told him, I said, if I don't get this record, here's what's going to happen. They're going to hire another producer, and I'm going to have him killed.
Yeah.
And then when they hire another producer, I'm going to have him killed until I'm the only producer on earth, and they have to work with me.
Yeah.
He said, okay, I'll get you the record. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Just give me a call. But anyway, that's how bad I wanted the record.
It worked out well.
Yeah, it worked out well. And you know what? It worked out well for whoever they might have hired before me because they would have been dead and it would have been good. But anyway, I'm really not a killer. I just hire people. I just hire people to kill people.
I'll play one on TV.
Yeah. So I want to talk because, man, I gotta be honest with you. I'm embarrassed, and I want to apologize again because about not knowing more about the School of Rock that you run, and it says here, let there be rock schools, Frederick.
Yeah, that's so backstory a little bit. So early 2000s, we're making records, managing bands. I got hired at Roadrunner. The office we had in Philly was Paul Conroy, myself, and then Dave Rath,
right?
Who we were all managing bands out of there. Paul got an A&R gig at Roadrunner and said, hey, I'm going to bring you two guys with me. And we were like, okay, cool. Awesome. A couple months went by. He got us gigs. Dave Rath got hired in the art department of Roadrunner. Mm-hmm. And then I got a scouting gig with Monty Connor. So I was like his A&R scout at Roadrunner.
Right.
So that's with Ron Berman and Mike Gitter and all that crew were up there, A&R guys.
I know all those guys very, very well.
All those guys
Uncle Ron.
Uncle Ron. And Mr. Mike Gitter. So that was great. We did that for a few years and that was going good. And then they cut like big time budgets back then, like especially when the Napster thing hit.
Right.
It was weird. Like it was a big shift back then. You remember that?
I remember.
Industry kind of turned upside down. Like, oh shit, what's going to happen? And people stopped buying records. And so I went back home, not working at Roadrunner anymore, managing bands. Had kids and a family and all that. I was like, oh shit, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, it was a weird time for me. Because all I've ever done was music.
That was a weird time for everybody, though, too.
Yeah, for sure.
It was a weird time for me.
Yeah. So, I took a day gig during that time. I was a project manager for a utility company, water, sewer, and storm drain. Didn't just talk about Jackson. Didn't know my ass from a hole in the ground. So my old drummer, back in the day, his sister and his brother-in-law in this company. I needed a gig. So I went there and, worked for them still managed bands and doing shit, but worked for them for almost 6 years and loved those people. They treated me and my family awesome, but I was dying every day. Like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Right.
This is not what I want to do. At home one weekend, watching this HBO documentary called School of Rock. It's about this dude called Paul Green. He started this school in Philadelphia.
Right.
Come to find out, he's the basis of the movie. Jack Black was based off of him. It's
I know. Wow, that's
it's
awesome.
a whole true life thing. So this dude started a school in Philly and started branching out and doing other locations and all this shit. And this was 2007, 2008. So another mutual friend we know, Mr. John Daly.
Yes, sir. How's he doing? Anyway,
He's
I don't
doing
wanna
awesome. We'll get to him.
We'll get to him.
But was like, hey, another mutual friend that our bands used to play with is managing one of these places in Philadelphia, because we were talking about it, and I was like, man, I got to figure out what to do. Like, I was going to be an elementary school teacher before I did all the music thing. I was in college.
I didn't know that.
I got a record deal. I was 19. I left school. And that's what I did. So I always wanted to work with kids. So I went up there, checked out the School of Rock thing, and it was starting to become this big corporate thing.
Right.
Franchise corporate thing. Got into it, just didn't, it just wasn't my vibe. So I came home and I talked to the wife and said, hey man, this is, I think this is something, I can do, I think I can do it better. Not to be cocky, but,
right.
We've been musicians our whole life and have developed young talent and know how to do it. And I just didn't like that corporate, everything's money, go after the money. You got to pay me. You know what I mean? It felt very,
right.
So, put a business plan together, figured out how I wanted to do it. And I went to every bank in America. This is 2010 by then. It took me like a year and a half to figure out what I was going to do and get my plan together. They laughed me out of every bank because if you remember, it was the worst housing crisis. No one was lending money to anybody. And everybody was like, dude, this is a great business plan. We love it. But we're not lending any money to any even established businesses, let alone a startup, small business kind of, So, my wife and I bought our house before the bubble, so we had equity in it. And we were like, F it. She's like, dude, we got to start over, live in my parents' basement. Who cares? Take the money out. Let's do it.
What a great wife.
She's the best. We'll get
That's
to
a
her
great.
too. She's the fucking
great
best.
freaking
She's had my
wife.
back from day one on everything. We got married when we were 19 to 20, super young. Everybody thought we were crazy.
Right. And you're still together, going strong.
It'll be 27 years coming up November 17th, and been together 30, and 5 kids later, and all that craziness. But so we pulled the trigger in January 2010. We opened up, and and went crazy. Just in our hometown, just DIY, like being in a band. Like I was always in punk rock, like post-hardcore bands. Like you get out and flyer for your shows. You get out and get on the street and tell people where your shows are. And dude, I have my kids on the weekends going to movie theaters, putting open house flyers on every car in the parking lot, going to the malls. Like we went out and busted our balls to let our town know we were open and what we were doing. And we made it happen. And shit, it's going to be 13 years in January we've been open, and now we got 7 other locations, and it's been pretty wild.
That's awesome. That's awesome. See it, not to get off back, not about me, but this is kind of my mentality too with the podcast, and I keep trying to tell Jackson it's all part of like me and you grew up in that time and era where it's like street level marketing.
That's it.
You
get out and do it.
Hey, I was in a restaurant yesterday with Hanson. You ought to ask him. I had 8 people freaking subscribe right there.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey man, you gotta watch the band podcast. But see, and that's how you kind of grew your business at the first.
And you got to get out there, and you got to get out in public. And I still do it to this day. Like I run that school every day. My wife and I, we do it all. She does all the scheduling. We have over 500 kids at our school. At that one,
500.
I got 81 bands. I've got over 500 students at this one location, our original location.
You got 500 students.
Of pushing 550. And we schedule that. I mean, that's our biggest from morning to noon night.
How big is Frederick?
It's not that big. Well, I mean, it's pretty big. I mean, it's the second largest city behind Baltimore, but it's not like Nashville.
But why? But look, I'm begging you, please. Now, what's the? I won't focus on here to go to the website really bad. We're gonna put a link on it at the bottom of the podcast. But what is it? You sent me the thing last night.
Yeah, so you can get it 2 ways: FrederickRockSchool.com or LetThereBeRockSchools with an S.com.
That's, man, it's like when I read about it though, I'm serious. I was just like, I want one of these in Hendersonville so I can send my kids to it.
So it's not like your average music school. It's not, going to a mall in your music store or your music store and you're in a little broom closet and you're taking a half an hour less, you go home and your incentive is to practice just to get better for yourself. Ours is an after-school community center. We open a safe place for kids to come. We welcome everybody with open arms, from beginners to advanced people, all walks of life, from 5 years old up through my oldest student's 74 years old. We also not only do lessons, one-on-one lessons, but we have a performance program. We pair kids up and adults according to age and ability. We put them in bands. We have one of our staff members who are all kick-ass musicians that have been in there, done that. I mean, I got some big guys on our staff, like in all the different locations, working with these kids. Each band has a band director or band coach that works with them, gets them working on songs, and we do shows, and we do live shows at real venues. I mean, I got kids opening up for fucking Mastodon and Hell Yeah and Papa Roach and all shit that we're doing because we have connections in the business. And these kids get opportunities like no other. I've had 2 bands get signed to major record deals out of my school. Had a girl go on the final show of The Voice. That was on Blake Shelton's team. She came in 6th place.
Man, the only thing is I'm ashamed of not knowing more about the school. You've been my friend for 25 years, and I didn't realize it was that big. I mean,
and the other
it's
locations
enormous.
are all friends of mine, and they're all like, we do a school. Our Gainesville, Georgia schools with with Kyle Sanders. He's the bass player in Hell Yeah.
Where all do you have schools?
So the original one, the one that my wife and I opened up 13 years ago, is in Frederick, Maryland, and then our buddy, mutual friend John Daly's got one in Philadelphia, in Delaware County, out by the airport.
How big is his school? How big?
He's got a lot of kids in his school. He's doing great, man. And
That's
John has a pedigree. Is in a band of Sign and Warner Brothers that you did the record and produced the record, and then he went on to have a very successful management career. And he did when all those Warped Tour bands were exploding. He had Every Time I Die.
Right.
A band called Chiodos was one of the biggest bands in the world at the time. Silverstein. I can go down the line. I mean, he managed some big clients, but it's a tough business. And he wanted to do this thing and wanted to be a part of it, and he's kicking ass.
Well, I was just wondering, or just thinking, because of you, I mean, you're one of the guys that's going to keep rock and roll alive. How can rock be a dying format if this is going on with our young people? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding either.
Right.
I'm very serious. I have to back to Kyle Odell, a young man that's a great producer that has a #1 rock record in the world for a month and a half, 2 months, straight, and then nobody knows who the artist is. I mean, that's what pisses me off. I get, and I won't go into Alex Jones angry right now, but I want to. But it's really frustrating because, and not that no one knows who she is. I mean, I keep forgetting her name.
Yeah, Nita Strauss.
Nita Strauss.
Yeah.
It's the fact that no one, when I go, yeah, he produced Nita Strauss. Well, a lot of bands and a lot of people, they're like, who's Nita Strauss? It's like, and it's frustrating because in 2019, I think I had 4 #1s I'd mixed, and nobody even, heard of the bands.
Yeah.
And why?
Well, I think it's just faceless music, right? So that goes back to this internet thing and online thing. It's all single driven, and there's no visuals, and kids aren't, they don't care about what they look like. They're not looking at albums. They're not, we got a record. I know I did. First thing I did was open it up. I wanted to see what they looked like. I read the credits. Right. I wanted to know where they recorded the record, like who did what. You know, who wrote the songs? Like,
And I'm not, and you know what? I know the young lady, so I'm not. But I have to say this: who the hell wouldn't want to look at Nita Strauss? I have a woman that I'm very in love with, but I mean, Nita Strauss is very pleasing to the eyes. It's hard not to look at her. She's a sweetheart too. She's a sweetheart of a girl. But I'm saying though, that's what's crazy. Like she's the ultimate rock star. You know, the I don't know, like the mega freaking woman rock star. Yeah. Better than Lita Ford, hotter than Lita Ford, hotter than Pat Benatar. And then, it's like, what the hell's going on with rock and roll? I have to get aggravated. And then you have, what's his name was on the track with her? David Draymond. I mean, mega rock star, famous, and
he was before the Curve, so everybody knows him.
That's crazy,
Before the internet and the streaming and all the streaming services, Disturbed were Disturbed when people were still buying records.
I know, but it's just frustrating to me because,
of course.
Well, here's what's frustrating, and I never have been
when MTV was still playing videos. Right,
I never have been a name guy anyway, except for AC/DC.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Malcolm and Angus Young and all them. Yeah. That group, and I kept up with that band and Aerosmith, and to know every member in Aerosmith,
right?
Maybe not so much, but to know the guitar players, yeah. But now. I wanted to get, I was thinking the other day, I need to get this singer from Asking Alexandria in here because I think the guy's a super songwriter, and he's someone that's here in Nashville. He'd be a good guy to get on here. I don't know his name though, and that's some shit. But I know folks that know him,
of course.
But I don't know his name, and that's frustrating.
Yeah,
it's frustrating. Why was it that we know who Steven Tyler was? What changed? I mean, is it not because it's not mainstream radio now?
Well, I think it's just these kids. It's so instant gratification nowadays. So it's like one thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and they've moved on that quick. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's, back when the radio was running the world, and you heard Aerosmith 100 times a day. Do you know what I mean? Like. Kids don't have that because they're listening to music on their phone, and it's some of them make playlists and it's a single driven, so it's something new every single time. They're not listening to a whole record of Aerosmith, and then they're not hearing it on the radio. They're not seeing the video on MTV. That's why.
Well, like we were talking, and we're not going to get into Kanye West, but we were talking last night about that, and when I heard for the first time I heard Black Skinhead. I felt the same feeling I had when I heard Far Beyond Driven. Now, you see the difference there, though. A song, an album.
Yeah.
Look at Far Beyond Driven as a body of work, and I don't look at it as a single of any kind. I love the entire record,
But that's how we grew up. We listened to the entire record.
Right.
These kids don't listen to the entire record.
But that
a lot of them don't.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm not a guy who listens to hip hop at all. I mean, when I hear a good hip hop song, I go, I'd be the best A&R guy for hip hop because I can really distinguish between what sucks and what's really good. And because it's like when I hear a great hip hop artist, I know automatically this guy is a God-given.
I don't
talent.
Because my teenage boys that are in high school listen to it.
Really,
hip hop, and they play it for me in my car, and I don't get it. The new hip hop, I just don't get it.
Well,
now I got the stuff we were coming up with. I mean, like Biggie and Tupac, and Dre and Snoop and Eminem, and even the older stuff. I mean, I grew up with Run DMC. Those were songs,
right?
To me, there was a structure, and there's stuff we grew up, being in the rock world. Like, that stuff was amazing and game changing, and
it was
old LL Cool J, like all that stuff was just
groundbreaking.
Early Beastie Boys, like, I mean, incredible.
I know, not to get off this subject, but I got to mix some of that Beastie Boys stuff over in Atmos, and
Cool stuff. Right?
it was really about the mix too, man. Boy, they recorded everything, and it was just a matter of muting and fucking unmuting, and it was pretty wild. But anyway, but rock and roll. Do you feel?
I think a big part of it is just like it's faceless. Where are the big new rock stars?
Yeah, what is going to happen? Where do you feel we're going?
There's a few out there, I think.
I'm trying to think of who.
Well, I think a crossover. I think that Post Malone dude is, I think he's a legit. I think he's a talented guy, and I think he's.
Oh, I do too.
I think he's a rock star vibe.
He is. I got the pleasure of meeting him one day.
Yeah,
he was outside my window out
I
here
saw
talking.
him. I saw him down here one day.
That's right.
Yeah, he was here. Yeah. He was outside smoking cigarettes, drinking a Bud Light. Yep.
Yeah, I got
at like 11 a.m. Yeah. But I think he's, I think he's legit.
I do too. In the rock world, let's say, here's what I think. I think that people in the modern rock era, the bands, everything, I think that we are where hip hop was. We went back to where hip hop was, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Where you knew that Dr. Dre produced this before you knew who the damn artist was.
You could tell out of the gate.
And I think that's where we're going, and I think that's where producers like Kyle is really going to do amazing. I mean, that's my opinion. Whereas in my era, we always looked at the producer who produced this because there's like the record I'm producing now. It's going to definitely have a sound that's different, and but not what I'm saying by different. It's going to be unique in some way. No matter how much I try to make it sound like AC/DC, it ain't going to sound like AC/DC. Yeah. It's going to sound like me, and the band. But do you feel that that's the direction we should go? I mean, do you feel like because Kyle Odell is the band most of the time, and I'm not being an ass, I'm just saying he really directs the traffic on where this sound is going. And the band.
Well, that's like when I said when I had the. I don't know exact word I said, but when that band was playing last night, they were playing.
Right.
Big difference, buddy. That's what I do every day. If you can't play, we're gonna make you play.
That's awesome.
And those kids play, and there's a new band out that I think is going to be the next big band, and they're on the trajectory for it right now. It's a band called Bad Omens, and
I gotta check them out.
The drummer in the band was a student of mine at my school in Frederick, Maryland since he was 12. He's 21. And their entire tour selling out, their European tour selling out, and the singer, they're badass players. Mm-hmm. The singer is the songwriter. He self-produces the shit. And they're blowing up. And I think there's a thing to that.
And it's real playing.
They play, they write their own songs. He produces it. They go out and kick ass every night.
Wow. I can't wait to hear this.
There's a thing to that.
Dude,
it's real.
Right. And that's the thing is like maybe that's what the problem is with rock. But see, that's the thing though. Where are we at with that too? Like if you listen to rock this, don't you notice that it sounds like 3 different or 4 different genres? What's that band that's over in Europe that we were talking about blowing up, really big there, Jackson? Jackson? Boy, I tell you, that boy.
One day he'll grow up.
He's just a boy, like Sling Blade.
He's just a boy.
He's just a boy. Anyway, there's a band from over there that he's like, this band's huge.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad we didn't say their name because when I heard them, I went, man, that's terrible.
Well, there you go. We're just going to leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, though, it didn't have any place on Rock This or any of the rock playlists, but it was on there. When are we going to go, hey, this is modern rock, this is active rock, this is, I mean, is there really those categories anymore?
I don't know. I mean, there's not, because there's not really any crossover. You know, before you could have a band say, let's go back, let's rewind Nickelback.
Right.
When they came out, you know, and that song hit. Well, the first song was that Spider-Man song with Josie Scott.
Right.
That thing crossed over to every platform.
It
was on top 40 radio.
All right.
It was on modern rock radio. It was on active rock radio. And then it got on, I mean, when it got to top 40 pop radio, and I remember Dave Lonco, the radio guy, Roadrunner at the time, I think they did 8 different mixes of that song for every format because it crossed over.
Right.
And when you're hitting on Dick Clark's top 40 radio countdown, you know you got a big song on your hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Especially if it's a rock song.
It's a rock song, but you know, there was a mix for that top 40 to where it was all vocal and there was pretty much non-existent guitars in the mix. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
well, I mean, call me Forrest Gump or whatever. I guess I was at the right place at the right time on that one.
Yeah.
You know, because it's nice. And I do have a couple platinum records from that. But it's funny because Josie Scott, you know.
But when's the last rock song
Like that?
you see crossover to all those marks?
I know.
It's hard to say. I don't know.
I know. And I can't really understand, like, but
I mean, you know, it's funny. I just watched the Shania Twain documentary on Netflix,
Right.
which is amazing, by the way. You should definitely watch it if you
Okay.
haven't.
I'll watch it.
But she was talking about it. She got to a point to where she was the biggest country act out, right?
Right.
And then she got rid of her longtime manager because she knew she couldn't take her to that next step. And that new management came in and said, hey, what's the goal here? What do you want to do? She goes, I want to be the biggest artist in the world, not just the country world, but the world. How do I cross over? How do I get on pop radio? How do I become Michael Jackson to where I can get played on every format and be a world superstar?
Right.
And she went and accomplished that.
She did. She did.
Which is amazing.
She got with Mutt Lang and he made it happen.
He did, but on the first record, but they sat down and had like, hey, we have to make this next record, you know, to the broadest audience, to everyone, not just the country world. Because the first record was heavy country sounding.
Right.
That next record was very pop crossover.
Do you feel that she paved the way for Taylor Swift?
100%.
I do too.
She's the biggest selling female artist of all time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Over 100 million records sold.
More than Pink?
Of all time.
More than Pink.
Watch the documentary. It'll blow your mind the amount of records she sold.
Really?
It's insane. Insane.
Wow.
You don't.
I didn't know that.
Watch it, man. It's pretty amazing.
I thought Pink was the biggest female artist of all time.
Nope.
And I'm a huge Pink fan.
And I don't even think she'd probably be close. I think Taylor Swift is definitely past Pink, for sure.
Man, all I know is that when she released my greatest hits so far, every single
Pink. Oh, that's one of my wife and I's favorite artists of all time.
Every song on that
Insane.
On that greatest hits record was number one.
Crazy.
Hits. And it's like, I'm going, this woman is on fire. I really want to get her on this podcast, and I will sooner or later. And,
do you remember this? Our singer in Cinch, Jamie.
Oh, yeah, I know the
They
whole
were
story.
high school sweethearts.
I know the whole story.
She's Bucks County, Pennsylvania girl.
We'll talk afterward. I want to see how he's doing, too, because I've been wanting to do an acoustic record on him, and I'm hoping that one day I can, because I just love that guy. He's just a great guy.
He's killing it right now.
But they were high school sweethearts. That's right.
High school sweethearts.
I know. That's
Crazy.
Freaking crazy.
Yeah.
Him and Pink.
Him and Pink. What a weird combination.
Lucky dude. I
Remember,
love her
she was
voice.
just Alicia then.
So, man, I want to switch gears here because we talked about something yesterday that was so fascinating to me, and that you grew up. And I try to look up some stuff on this by where the Blair Witch Project was
Was based on, and a lot of it was filmed there. Burkittsville, Maryland. So I grew up in Brunswick.
Okay.
Burkittsville is 4 miles over in the next little town
Right.
to me. So growing up in my area, there were always ghost stories, and like we're really close to Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, and that whole thing it's all about, there's ghost tours, and you can spelunk and go through John Brown's cave, which is this famous cave where they would smuggle slaves over from West Virginia over into the Maryland side, because Maryland was a free state. So there's a whole like history there of just awesomeness. And so yeah, it was amazing when the Blair Witch Project came out. I was like, what? This is like, because those producers looked up all these stories.
Mm-hmm.
This is from what I understand. I'm not like, prolific on this Blair Witch Project thing, but there's a lot of stories around that area. And
right.
Growing up, you would hear different things, and this is obviously way before Blair Witch because I'm old as shit. But there were stories.
You're younger than me, so where's that put me?
I don't know. But I'll be nice on this podcast, Malcolm. It is your podcast. So, but like for instance, one of my buddies growing up had a Confederate soldier buried in his backyard, and it would always freak me out as a kid being over there spending the night at his house. And
was there an actual tombstone there?
Yeah, there's an actual tombstone there. A lot of history, a lot of Civil War stuff in my area.
Well, I figured it'd be more Revolutionary War.
No, it's definitely a lot of Civil War stuff.
Really?
Oh my God, yeah. I'm 30 minutes from Gettysburg.
Oh God, no wonder.
So yeah, we're right there. So I mean, that whole area was just all of that. So for instance, if you go past the main street in Burkittsville, his house was the last house on the left-hand side going up the mountain. So there was always folklore coming up to where there's a part in the road to where it's an optical illusion. If you put your car in neutral, it feels like you're getting pushed up the hill. And when you're in the car, you feel like you're getting pushed up the hill.
But are you?
You put flour on your bumper and you get out and you see fingerprints, and it's supposed to be of dead Confederate soldiers pushing you up the hill.
What?
Yeah.
I've heard something about this now. This is interesting. And where's this at?
This is in Burkittsville, Maryland, home of the Blair Witch Project.
Have you done that before?
We have.
And it worked.
And it worked. And it scared the living shit out of us.
I'm driving up there and seeing this shit. We got to do. Hey,
and I can take it to all the spots.
The podcast is going on the road. So you see the fingerprints, you see the hand. Do you really? Does it look like real hands?
Yeah, I haven't done it since I was a kid.
And it freaks you out.
It freaked us the fuck out. Never did it again.
So it pushes you up the hill. What?
No, it's in books. It's in like ghost story books. It's been published. Like it's a thing. Like it's and then people are coming out and saying, "Hey, it's a real like optical, like the gravity and the whatever it is."
But you're going up. You're going uphill.
There's a certain spot up on that road where you're going up.
But and it pushes you up the hill. That's I'm sorry, but that's just way too freaky.
Yeah.
So you do know that the podcast is sponsored by by one of the guys who does also sponsors the American Ghost Project.
Oh wow, okay.
So and we're wanting a place to go investigate.
Well, hopefully he's probably. I wonder if he's heard about all the stories in that.
Oh,
area.
I'm sure. But
yeah.
now that's one I didn't know about the handprints though.
And there's another one that there's a like a bridge tunnel.
Right.
That's probably 6 or 7 miles from Burkittsville. And the old thing you would pull in there and you turn your lights off. And you would always see these 2 little red eyes up in the corner of the bridge.
What?
Yeah.
And you really saw them?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but was it like light coming from?
I don't know. It's always there.
There's two eyes like looking at you.
Yep.
I got to go see this shit. Jeez.
I tried to take my wife there when we first met, and she freaked the f- out. It's like, get me the f- out of here. No, get out of here. Yeah, man.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding you.
So how big are the eyes? I mean, are they big?
Like you can see them. Yeah, I mean, it's,
and you're sitting in the car, and the eyes are up here looking at you.
Yeah.
And no one has come up with a reason or what it is.
No, they say it's some kind of, thing that lives in the area and lives in that bridge, and it's a thing. Maybe like a Deo wolf or some shit like that. I heard there was always stories when we were kids, and we're like, what are you talking about?
Do y'all have do you have wolves up there?
I don't know.
Is Maryland a place that has wolves?
Well, no. Well, yeah, I guess. We got mountains and stuff. I don't know. We have like coyotes.
Okay, well, I mean,
we have mountain lions.
You do have mountain lions.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's a mountain
bears.
Maybe. But how can a mountain lion be sitting in the same spot every time?
It's not a f***ing mountain lion, bro.
What is it?
I don't know. We're gonna find out one night.
Yeah, I mean, I'm coming up there. I need to come and see the school anyway. I didn't realize it was 500 kids.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure that you guys are worried about me coming and speaking at your school because I'll probably use some pretty
language. That's a big part of our thing too. It's cool. So we have guest artists that come in. We have guests. We do clinics. We have people come in that do guitar clinics and drum clinics and special artists and people like that. Yeah, we have people like you come in and do stuff. I mean, we did a thing called Camp Rockstar before the pandemic with Rex Brown from Pantera. He came in and was our guest rock star, like band director dude.
Wow.
That was sick. Yeah. And he worked with the kids and they were doing Pantera song. He cried at the show.
Really?
The kids played Cemetery Gates and he stood up and was crying and clapping. And the kids destroyed like these Pantera songs. And he got emotional.
Imagine.
It was an awesome moment.
That is crazy, man.
It was cool, man. And a kid, you imagine being hanging out with Rex Brown and Pantera.
Dude, I can't get no better than that. You can't get no better
than that. The kids were freaking out. Parents were freaking out.
You can't really get any better than that.
He was hanging out with everybody. Amazing experience for those kids.
Oh, that's so awesome.
So we get, we do a lot of that for the kids. And
well, I mean, the question is did you take him to see the handprints?
I did not, but that would be amazing. But that whole area where I'm from, man, it's you come up there, man. We can go to Harpers Ferry. We can do all the ghost tour stuff.
So a little bit about this Blair Witch thing, and I'm sorry to get it. We're good. We're kind of going crazy here, but now I'm super interested. Is it a real witch?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's the folklore, right?
I mean, have you ever seen anything about that particular thing?
I never heard of that.
Well, really?
Until the movie came out.
Okay.
So that wasn't something as a kid growing up. All we knew is we would walk through that cemetery that's in that movie, and it was just freaky as shit. Weird vibes, like... I
read some things.
It's an old cemetery.
And you guys out there watching the YouTube channel, I don't give a damn. Fact check me. I read something last night, this morning, about that being like a pretty true or based on a true story type of thing. So, is there a cave? What is there?
Well, if you go up like that hill I was telling you through Burkesville, when you get out of town, it starts going up the mountain.
Right.
And there's always this creepy ass old church in the woods. And I want to believe it's still there, or remnants of it still there.
Right.
And, people would go hang out there and they would hear stuff. There's stories all about it. Like it's.
Okay, so it is based on a true events.
I guess. I think, like I said, they obviously read up on that area and read some stories about it. But I didn't do enough research. Is the Blair Witch, based on a true story out there? I don't know.
Well,
I'm sure you're going to hear about it.
It's based on true
folklore.
Okay. Yep, it is. It wasn't just a made up story about some kids and
Gotcha.
they made a movie. It was definitely a true thing that people talked about. Okay, so it's kind of like
Me personally, I never heard about that growing up. I heard about all this other shit that I talked about and experienced myself.
look, the hands on the bumper thing
Bro.
is that's way. I don't even know what to say about that. I mean, unless the wind is blowing and they blew, I don't know. I'm trying to think of I'm just trying to think of the scientific thing for this, and there's no scientific thing I can think of. The eyes in the freaking tunnel, man. Man, I mean, especially if you shine a light up there, and did you shine a light up there to see if there was anything up there?
No, it was always, kids growing up in cars doing stupid shit and drinking and fucking going in there and freaking yourself out and getting the fuck out of there as quick as you could.
I love you, Marchant. Oh, yeah, that's my nickname for him is Marchant. I never have been able to pronounce your last
It's
name
okay,
right.
buddy.
It's
all right.
It's a redneck thing.
We're both got a little bit of redneck.
Yeah,
things,
I'd say that's out there in the woods. You're from the woods, I'm from the country. You're from the hills, I'm from the country. That's what I like
Pretty
to
much,
say.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm from the flatlands, the swamps.
This way.
You can look at me and tell this guy really is from the swamps. But no. Wow, the whole handprint thing. I'm serious. I'm gonna be thinking about that for a while. I mean, that's well, Gettysburg itself. My great grandpa died in Gettysburg, fighting in the Civil War. And
Have you been to that area?
I've been to the area. I haven't been where the battle took place because I'm afraid. I'm afraid to be honest with you.
You should go if you like all that stuff. You should go and take the kids up there.
Have you seen? Okay, have you seen the clips of the ghost at Gettysburg that they videoed?
No, but there's so many.
Jackson,
there's so much stuff, man.
Could you please look that up? I
want to see that for sure.
It made me.
If he can pull it up, would be amazing. Yeah, bro.
Dude, is that what I thought it was?
Dude, I'm telling you, man.
Did you see that, Jackson?
This was all over the internet. That. Yeah, you see that shit, dude?
Dude, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
You got to come up to that area, I'm telling you.
There was another one I saw there was a tree line, and it looks like the same Confederate soldier just going over and over and over again. And that's where I came up with my theory of ghosts being like an analog tape reel, and like this world spins around and it has a race head. And when God put it in motion, he just spun it in motion and went, okay, well, everything ain't getting erased, but this will give them something to talk about. This will give the humans something to freaking be intrigued about. And where those ghosts are or whatever is where there's, you know how analog, you have a spike in you'll have too much level to tape, and it won't quite erase when it goes back around, like something like a death or something bad happens there, and there's a big spike in the freaking tape of the freaking spinning world, and then you see it over and over again.
Right. So what with like orbs and stuff like that, how do you feel about that? Because
I don't know what to think about that.
So I have my school is laid out. I have like 2,700 square feet in the front, and then in one of the rooms, the building's like a T, so it's like this, and then in the back it's got 3 different offices. And I have the one that's connected to my front part. And then there's 2 guys that rent behind me. But in the back part, I think haunted, there's something going on. I've been in there late night. I hear shit up there all the time. Other of my instructors have been there late night. I've heard stuff. We have cameras in there.
Right.
Every night, my wife will click on that camera at night, and there's nothing but orbs in that back room.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious, and I'm gonna film it when she pulls on the camera, and I'm gonna send it. I'm gonna
Yo,
text
send
it
that to us. Send it to us.
It is the weirdest.
Because you're going back home this week, right?
Only in that back room, not in my front 2,700 square foot. It's in my back part of my school 1,200 square foot room.
Wow. So that part of the world is definitely Revolutionary War, haunted.
Big Civil War stuff, big time.
Not I mean, it's Civil War, but I thought it was a big hunting, a big ground for Revolutionary War. But I guess that was more around Boston and
so
in the Massachusetts area
where
the band is.
Big battles around Frederick. It's very historic.
That's crazy.
Francis Scott Keys from Frederick, Maryland, who wrote the Star Spangled Banner.
Wow.
You could come and stay at the Francis Scott Key Motel.
And that's haunted as hell, I bet.
Could be. I've never stayed there.
I think it was Scotty Austin told me he stayed in a hotel up there next to where you're at, and he said it was haunted as hell. He woke up and there was somebody sitting in the room, or something. I remember it was Scotty telling me it was freaked him out.
One of my
students'
dads, turned out to be a great friend of mine, and great carpenter guy and all that. So he was living in this place up on the hill in Braddock Heights, which is like right above where Frederick is. It's still Frederick, but it was this old big like farmhouse to where they used to have like carnivals up there back in the 20s and 30s, and they had this big community pool, and it's one of those things you see in a movie. Everybody would come there for the summers, and they would stay, and it was a thing.
Right.
So somebody turned it into like a bed and breakfast thing with a bar and nice restaurant, and then upstairs the rooms were still up there, and he was there to kind of build out the bar and the restaurant. So he was actually living upstairs in this house, and he goes, dude, the guy that owned it put all his shit up in the rooms, and he kept one room open so Will could stay in, but it was just chocked full of just his shit that he collected over the years. They said it was like hoarder kind of shit. The rooms were packed.
Right. American Pickers type of stuff.
Dude. So he would go to bed. He said the third night being in there, all he heard was fucking slamming doors.
What? Really?
Like, boom, boom, boom. And he got up in the middle of the night, all the doors were always locked. Went down the hallway. Down the hallway, he said there was 5-6 rooms. All the door handles were locked. Every night, at the same time of the night, these doors would slam shut.
And what was man, me and Kyle and Jameson and Jackson, we've had our things here at the studio, that's for sure. But we're right by a graveyard.
Yeah.
I guess my question to you wouldn't be a very good question, but so I guess you believe in ghosts.
Well, it's funny.
What do you think it is? Do you think it's spirits? Do you think it's people?
I think it's spirits. I think it's people. It's funny because getting back, I think I brought it up, but when I was 12, my brother was 16 and he passed away from leukemia.
Yeah.
So, and I remember this to this day. And whether or not I was awake or not, I don't know. But I thought I woke up in the middle of the night. My parents were there. My brother hadn't passed away yet. And my grandfather was at the house watching me because I was 12. It's spending one night. And, it was definitely towards the end of my brother's life. And I remember going into his room, and he was sitting on his bed and looked me straight in the eye and said, "Hey, everything's going to be okay. I promise you that."
Wow, that's awesome, though.
Oh, it was incredible. Like, I still get emotional about it. Obviously,
Right.
He's the one that got me into music, and he was that story. He was the coolest the only like cool punk rock kid in the high school. We grew up, small school, 400 kids, 500 kids. Like he was listening to all the amazing records and got me into music. And then he was a punk kid, and then he got into but he listened to everything, all like the hair metal shit, all the great metal stuff from Priest and Maiden, and then he got into Rat and Crew and all that stuff. And then, even like the hip hop stuff, that's how I heard like, Run DMC and LL Cool J. And like, he just had like the collection of all collections. And I would steal his records, get so pissed off at me and fucking come in and hit me and grab him, take him back to his room. But he was the guy, so, but yeah, that was the thing for me. So yes, I 1000% believe in all of that. And I think people are definitely watching and always there and present. And I say goodnight to him and my mom every single night before I go to bed.
Really, that's awesome.
Yep.
I have to say, which I won't go and put on podcast too much, but thank you for sharing that, because I had something happen with the family, lately, and it wasn't very, very good, and on the way home, that night, I felt my grandmother sitting right next to me in the truck,
Yep.
and going, how things are. You understand how things are. Stop acting like you don't. Do what you do and do it the best you can. Yep. I'm still here supporting you, because they're not supporting you.
Yeah.
And it's okay, though, because I'm still here to support you, And, she was always my biggest fan.
Yeah.
When I didn't deserve it.
Yep.
I didn't deserve her love. She was just that great. Whereas others just, they just, they just as soon put hate toward it instead of love, and that just really confuses me. But, and that's probably, I don't know, man. So I do believe that ghosts, every once in a while, and when I'm here by myself late at night working, which is not very often anymore, I'll hear Mally, my dog, I swear to God, I'll hear her come through the kitchen, and I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but I swear to God, and I'll get up and I'll go, I know it was her, and I'll have this feeling of comfort, that she's sitting in the back of the room watching me mix like she always did, and it's so weird saying a dog is a ghost, but I think I feel her with me, going, hey, Dad, it's all good, you're good, just keep on mixing, you're doing good, because those things that do leave us is tough.
Yeah.
Is it our minds? Is it our souls? Is it,
I don't know. And I'll be honest with you, I don't care.
Really? I wonder though.
I like knowing the fact that whether it's my mind doing it or if it's real or whatever, it still makes me feel like they're here and connected. And
well, this will make you feel better. This is what I think. You ready?
I'm ready.
I think they're like up there with the big man, creator, and they filled out a form going, I need a 3-day pass to Earth to go see about my relative Malcolm or my relative Scott. And he goes, okay, fine. You get a 3-day pass, get your ass down there, see about him. Don't cause too much havoc. Now, here's the rules.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like a hall pass.
Yes. And then, but 3 days you're back here. And that's it, And that sounds ridiculous, but I think that, the creator does have, probably has some rules that you got to go by. Here's your 3-day pass.
So with that, are the ones that are always here, like this one that's in Gettysburg that says that's always around.
Right.
Because multiple people have said they've seen this one. So have they done something to where they can't be up there full time? Or is it, do you know what I mean? The ones that are there are the ones, the Blair Witch, or this, whoever soldier, whether he's Confederate or Union or whatever he is, poor soul, and he's been seen 1,000,000 times in the Gettysburg battlefield. So are they not allowed up there, or they did? You know what I mean? Like,
no.
How is that? I
think that they're got that. I think I know it sounds ridiculous, man, but I think that we're going to go back to zero once we get past there. I mean, and I'm not kidding either. Like, I think that they're just living it, not in that terror or not in that bad moment, but they're living it all over again in a different freaking, in a different, thing of time.
Yeah.
Because you got to look, man, we're just humans, so we don't understand, like, I don't think there's anything. Okay, look, when you leave the earth, what's time? There's no sun up and sun down.
Yeah.
So God sees it. It's all one big thing happening at once, right?
And that's wild. So my wife has, and her grandmother was like this, like, what's that premonition kind of thing? Whatever, is that what they call it?
Right.
When they kind of
Right.
foresee stuff happening and
Right.
kind of know like what's going on. And
Right.
my wife's got a lot of that.
Really?
It's kind of crazy because she'll talk about it and then, it'll happen. And I'm like, she goes, yeah, my grandmother was a lot like that.
Well, there's a lot of things that I think about. I'm glad that doesn't happen.
I mean, I'm with you, brother. Yeah.
There's a lot of things I say I'm glad it doesn't happen. Like, you shouldn't tell. I've learned though, man, you can't say. It's so funny because I've been listening to this blues artist from way back in the day. That's a Christian artist.
Yeah.
I mean, it's real. You'd love it. It's really bluesy. Kaiser Mansfield. You are looking.
Okay, I'll have to check them out.
Only on YouTube. Look it up on YouTube. Kaiser Mansfield. It's like feed myself positive things to be more a positive person. Back to the ghost thing. This has nothing to do with it. But anyway, back to but just real quick. What do you think it is? Do you think they're actually here? Or do you think that they're just here to visit? Do you think, what about those guys that's pushing that car up the freaking thing?
Right. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to think about it. I think
Is it another dimension that they can see us and we can't see them?
possibly. Is that like the whole Stranger Things show is based on that? I mean, that's the whole basis of that show, right? There's a whole upside down world, another dimension or whatever.
No, but I'm just, it makes me thank God that I reached that point at 45. I stopped jerking off.
That's a trying damn
Well,
shame.
I'm saying though, man. I mean, at 45, you kind of go, man, I feel dumb doing this. I'm not doing this anymore. You know what I mean? I'm embarrassed of myself, Or really, to be honest with you, I just don't turn myself on like I used to.
But I can say, no one does it better than me.
Anyway, listen, we've had a great podcast. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Malcolm. Love you, brother.
You guys check out the
LetThereBeRockSchools.com. Check it out. Get your kids involved, and the locations are up there. And check it out.
I'm determined to have you put one in Hendersonville, Tennessee, because we really need one there. And thank you for being someone that is an advocate and someone who's building and keeping rock and roll alive. I'm serious. Thank you so much for that. I
appreciate that.
I didn't realize. I'm so ashamed of myself for not knowing more about it until today. I didn't realize it was that big. It's like freaking incredible. Oh yeah, I want to. These guys.
This is
these guys. Brentwood Nutrition.
First
Chad,
time having one of these.
It's amazing.
It's fantastic.
Thank you so much for coming
Thanks,
on the
Malcolm.
podcast.
Appreciate you.
That was awesome, man.